Hello, everyone. We are live here. This is the Power of Islands podcast. And my name is David the Indian, and I'm your host. And this is a very special weekend. Today is Friday, February 23rd. And we have a very special guest today, Jack Talcot, with Live Without Fear. And instead of going into a great introduction for Jack, what we're going to do is begin by showing a video uh, that was made by Cot Flicks. And this video it's not a real video. It actually has Jack Talcott in the video with Dr. Phil. And everyone knows Dr. Phil. So rather than getting into an explanation, let's go ahead, Guilherme, and let's go ahead and stream that 8-minute video. And then after the video, then Jack and I will have a discussion. We'll talk about some of the things that he's doing with Live Without Fear.
I am a little concerned now about.
What are you concerned about, Jack?
Talcot clip collection comment.
On an all-new Dr. Phil, is he a sinner or a saint?
Are you Jesus Christ?
Holy!
So Jack not only believed he was a king in a past life and an Indian god called Gilgamesh, but also currently believes he is Jesus. He claims he is a prophet who went from being an A student to a military soldier to living life as a wizard and finally believing that he is Jesus. Jack is a manipulative and delusional man who needs to be locked up in a mental institution. Take a look. Well, I can't tell you how glad I am you're here talking about this. It takes courage to be here to talk about this. This is a cautionary tale, right?
Hey, beautiful, thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm Jack Talcott, Live Without Fear.
So how did this begin? You lost like 30 pounds. What was it in you that made it okay to stop eating food to the point that you lost 30 pounds?
It's a fine balance of everything, man. Let go lightly, hold on tightly.
Were you not eating because you were fasting or because you don't have a job?
I'm not like really trying anymore.
That's what I'm asking.
I was detached from reality. That was not healthy and not smart. So when we become detached from reality, we're detached from our true self, and our true self is the Christed Spirit.
Right. Are you Jesus Christ?
This is where I'm humbling myself, and I encourage people, just kind of consider it.
Is that a yes?
I don't even remember what you were talking about, sorry.
So Jack, you found a piece of moldy bread that fell in the street, and this was a sign from God. You said when you picked it up, you saw something.
Whoo, buddy. Whoo. There is forces beyond us, man.
But this went on for days at a time, right? And you took painfully hot baths. You ran in the snow till you collapsed. Why were you willing to do that?
Well, the concepts are actually very, very simple. Surrender. Give up.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, Jack says it is God's will that he lives his life on the streets as a homeless apostle, recruiting followers for the Lord. He also says he was going through a spiritual battle during the time. He doesn't doubt this is the path God has chosen for him to walk, and he accepts it's a job without pay.
I mean, that's kind of the point where I humbled myself. I spent my life without the thought of God.
Because you were in defiance.
Okay, partial truths create total confusion. So within every truth is a paradox. We can play these stupid manipulation of words games.
Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Hey, dumbass.
I decided to let it pass, you being rude and belligerent and abusive with my staff.
Fucking liar.
But if you want to take that to task, we can, because you are a loudmouth bully. You want to bully them, bully me, Buster.
I'm sitting here pretty much silent, dumbass.
I made a list where you said, years down the road, you'll find out that I became famous.
Now that we know,
Well, Jack says he's a true prophet of the Lord and claims the only thing that would come from this show is Dr. Phil looking really stupid. Dr. Phil is going to recognize me as a servant of the Lord at the very least and is going to give support for my ministry. It is going to be revolutionary.
I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to remember saying this stuff.
He says that God made him an appointment with me today so he could help me understand his views on spirituality and psychology. He said that he was concerned that he was going to embarrass me because I don't know much.
What do you believe you could have done better?
I'm just asking you, at this point, it seems to me that you have a very odd way of spreading God's love.
I think in the past I had that energy that wasn't a good idea to try.
You're saying that you are anointed one, that you are an apostle. You're all, I mean, it just seems all about me, me, me.
what I've been pointing out is, folks, hey, brothers and sisters, you guys that are new into this pattern of disagreeing with me, can you please break this pattern? It's been 5 years. I'm kind of tired of it. I miss people. I don't miss the disagreements. I don't miss people telling me I'm wrong. I don't miss people telling me to change. That shit can go away. I'm happy all alone, man. Genocide doesn't sound so bad.
I have a very personal relationship with Jesus Christ and have been since I was a boy. And it's offensive to my sensibilities for someone to use Jesus Christ, the Lord, the Holy Spirit, to justify ridiculous behavior.
All I'm telling you is trust what Jesus said. That is how we are supposed to live. Don't distort it. Don't make it complicated. Make it very...
Don't judge me.
When you shut up, you'll understand.
You're just avoiding, deflecting, and filibustering.
As often as I can.
I want to know what you're going to do next year. Are you going to get a job?
I think I'm going to shut this down.
Yeah, you also have a free will. So,
You know what? That was chicken shit of me. But in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, those are valid questions.
your plan going forward is what?
I don't know if you saw the documentary of me talking to Peterson. So if the ballot came out and you had Donald Trump next to Jack Talcot, what are you going to choose?
If in fact you are who you say you are, you're going to bloom where you're planted, my friend. It doesn't matter. You can witness in a treatment center. You can witness getting diagnosed. You can witness wherever you are. And anything that is real will withstand any challenge.
Depending on who you speak to, it is very likely that I'm described as very angry. It's in public records that I am a clear and present danger.
So what I would recommend, and am happy to arrange for you, back up where you live. I'll arrange for you to be completely and fully evaluated, see if what you believe withstands challenge. And if you learn something from it, fine. If you don't, you have nothing to lose. So if I make those arrangements for you, are you willing to do that?
I don't give a fuck. I do not care about anything. I don't know what's going on.
I want to thank all of my guests today. Log on to drphil.com. Share your thoughts on our message boards. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time.
Welcome, Jack Talcott. Wow, what a powerful video. I can't even begin to explain to the people listening to this.
We can create peace in this world when humanity stops lying to each other. And that is the goal. I mean, in my own, not to keep going on, but in my own practice of self-development, that was the repeating message I heard from the various religious philosophies and from the various psychologists, philosophers, the power of truth. And it's so obvious. When we humble ourselves to the truth and we stop allowing ourselves individually to have excuses and to blame other people, to blame external conditions, when we stop blaming, we stop allowing excuses, and then we fill ourselves with the truth. And when I got rid of my excuses and my blame, I realized, well, the government's not entirely to blame. I mean, it's a big problem. We've got a big problem in our world, and it's multifaceted. So pointing fingers isn't helping. And I spent most of my life with the excuse that I didn't think I could do anything. Well, that didn't do any good. So now I believe that I and you and we, all of us people, we can create a better world. We deserve a better world, a world without wars, a world without the selfishness of debts and the exploitation of profits. That's the world I see for us. David?
Yes, thank you. That was very well spoken and very encouraging. One one thing that I will say and I will mention, and I've drilled this over and over again, not only with Jack but everyone I talk to. When we mention the word love, just love, it is fearful for everyone because everyone has been in a relationship at one point or another in their life that they thought was loving. However, it backfired. And so we have a lot of residual like dust, something that's covering our essence, our true being. And what I push forward and I really try to articulate and really emphasize is the word unconditional. Because if we say unconditional love, what that means is that no matter what is done to us, it is not going to change our purpose and our being as being a human being and working together in the harmony that Jack just mentioned. If we just say love, a lot of people shut off. And that's where live without fear comes in. Because the reality is, our fear is equal to the conditions that we have in our life. The more conditions we have, the more we are fearful. And so when we can remove those conditions, we arrive not necessarily at unconditional love, we are unconditional with everything. Not just love, but when it comes to government or when it comes to freedom of speech or whatever, there is no limitation that we have at that point. That is true harmony. And that is where we synergize together and where we unite. So once again, I want to say unconditional and then love. With no conditions, love comes naturally and it's not fearful. And so, I'll make that comment, but you can go ahead and we can keep flowing with this, So I don't know exactly. By the way, we don't ever have a script. We don't ever edit or delete anything. So what you're seeing and feeling is in the moment of now. And that is where unconditionality is. If you are living in the past or you are fearful or anxious of the future, that is not unconditional. The only unconditional place is right now, this moment, this breath. In every word that we use, we need to be conscious and totally conscious of how we are expressing ourselves. For example, the video that we saw with Dr. Phil, it was obvious that Jack was angry and Jack was lost. He even said it. I have no idea what I'm doing. But the fact is, in the moment of now, we know perfectly what we're doing. We just have to be responsible. And we have to be conscious of all of the words that we use because everything will be used against us. You, me, them, us, we. In our world right now, every communication, including this communication, is being tracked and being monitored. And people like Cotflix at any moment can grab this information. If it's a live stream, it's on the internet. And anybody can manipulate our conversation. And this is where we as a society, Jack, need to be very, very careful. Because literally, there is no way to determine in our world today what is real and what is fake. And the problem is people are so gullible when they watch a video like I watched Dr. Phil. When I first saw it, I was eating that up. I was consuming it like food. And at the end of the video, I had to digest that information. And my
Mhm.
first response was fear in conditions. And then I stopped myself because now I'm becoming more aware of my thoughts. I'm conscious. And I stopped myself and I said, that's not fair to Jack. I shouldn't limit my conversation with Jack because of that video. No matter what, even though I love Dr. Phil and I have all sorts of memories and emotions about him, I'm not going to pick a side. I'm not going to say Dr. Phil's right and Jack is wrong. And in unconditional love, there is no favoritism. It is everything. It is just the reality. And unconditional love does not mean like a utopia or something like that, where everything is perfect and there is no evil. In our world, as Jack mentioned, we live in a very dangerous and very hostile world. I do not want to call it a war on humanity, but it feels like that. It feels like our very essence of who we are as human beings, not only Jack, me, you, them, us, we. It seems like we are being attacked. And if we constantly try to revolt or resist that, then those conditions and the fear comes immediately. And then with that, we lose total sight of what our essence is. And it is love, unconditional love. The love comes naturally. So go ahead, Jack. Maybe I've sparked I can see you there. I can feel your mind and your heart moving. So go ahead.
Thank you. You you said a lot for us. If you can mute up again, though, please. Thank you. What David was talking about inspired a lot of thoughts. The messages I am sharing, what he pointed out, love is confusing. Love confused me. I didn't understand love until I sought to know love, and that was in 2018. So what David's offering is true. A lot of people have misunderstandings of love, believe it's sexual, believe it's controlling, believe it's all sorts of different dynamics. But the idea of without conditions, that is more of an accurate reflection, because consider the word unconditional. It means without conditions. That means without conditions creates less resistance, less barriers. So without the conditions, what's the result? Peace. You feel peace because there is no resistance, there is no conflict. And peace, man, peace is love. Love and peace, they go together. There is no separation. So if you can recognize the goal is peace, peace without conditions in each moment, accepting the moment for what it is, doesn't mean you're accepting it in the future. It just means you accept what is and what was in your life with peace. And then when you have no conditions for what you will and will not accept with what the world offers, well, then you get to choose. After you've accepted everything, then you decide, what do I want to continue to experience? What do I want to continue to allow in my life? And this world we're brought up, people have been conditioned through memories of rewards and punishments. People have been conditioned to be obedient and reactive, because that's what the world has shown us. All of the media, the soap operas, the drama entertainment, all of these shows show this kind of dysfunctional, controlling normality of these relationships where people are cheating on each other, people are stealing from each other. It's in our media, it's in our news. But I tell you what, the cheating and the stealing and stuff like that, that's not in our hearts. That's not who we are. It's just who the world wants us to be. And if we can join together, finding ways to work with the people who we don't like, who we've not got along with. But if we can find ways to work together because of the fact that we're all living this lifetime together, I think we can. I truly believe, David. I said this in my stream yesterday. I've come along in my life, developed into a union guy and then an activist and all these other roles I've played. But there's been people fighting these fights for a long time for equality and environmental justice, civil justice. There's been fights happening for a long time. So I want to thank you, people who are setting things up like this, trying to help educate and awaken our fellow brothers and sisters in the world. We're living at a time where it's time. The world is ready for change. And the change that we're talking about, changing above the greed and the selfishness of the past, that's powerful. Go ahead, David.
It's very, very powerful, very powerful. You know, I just want to say something for the public, and everyone knows this. War is profitable. Chaos is something that the markets, the stock exchange, and our world financial system adores. The more chaos, the more volatility, the more money. So I have a lot of friends that are trading in Tokyo, London, Sao Paulo, and New York, all four of the major exchanges. And when I talk about unconditional love, these brokers and these financial people basically hang up the phone, Jack. They literally, because they are scared to death that actually goodness and kindness can actually be profitable. How can that be? Their programming is to create chaos and war, and that is it. So now what I'm trying to do through this podcast, The Power of Islands, and through communicating and connecting with you and Jesse, and the idea is to link up as many podcasts together and create a hub so that when we live stream, we get the message out about unconditional love. And when that happens, you will never, I promise you, you will never see such a bull market ever in humanity's history. The money will rain from the sky, and money will grow on trees, and the Garden of Eden will come back. The perfection of God's design will be realized, and we will manifest. But there is a huge resistance right now, Jack, and everyone listening, and everyone knows it's the truth. We think that chaos is money, and everyone is chasing money because we have to pay mortgages, we have to pay for the kids' school, the car, everything requires money. But that's not the truth. That is not the truth. The truth is that time comes first, and then money. Just like this conversation right now with Jack Talcott. I'm not paying Jack for this. He's not paying me for this. This is an exchange. For 1 hour, he's giving me 1 hour of his time, his attention, his love, his unconditional love, and that's what I'm doing in return. So actually, if we consider everyone's time first, then the money is not an issue. I'm not saying that money will go away like magically overnight. I am saying that over 50 years, 100 years in the future, we probably do not need money. We probably do not need gold. We can go back to the standard of the golden rule. The golden rule is to treat others as you wish to be treated. It's very simple. But the problem, Jack, in our society is that people really believe that treating each other awful and pissing on each other is actually justifiable. And so the golden rule now in the future that we're trying to promote here through Live Without Fear is the golden rule of unconditionality, unconditional love. Because when you do that first for yourself, then it happens naturally. Everyone, every person every place, and everything that you touch becomes the golden Midas. It becomes the alchemy, the human alchemy of transforming any horror. The wars in Israel and Ukraine and all of the in Iraq and all of the craziness in Vietnam and all of the wars, World War I, World War II, the bombing and all of that, really, we need to forgive. And like you had said in the Dr. Phil segment, we need to surrender. We do not need to resist anything anymore. It's through the resistance in the idea of like a love movement or some love revolution like we've had in the past. That is all hogwash. There is no war. The war is inside of us. If you are reflecting any type of resentment or anger or hostility towards any other person, place, or thing, that is inside of you. And that is the human alchemy and the transformation that we all can go through by simply surrendering. So go ahead, Jack.
Brother, that is beautiful. Wait, you said a lot again. There's the cloud that you mentioned earlier, the cloud that kind of keeps us from seeing the brightness and from that prevents our light from shining forth, our love, our unconditional love. What prevents that from shining forth most often is the conditioning of the past. It's our memories of guilt, memories of resentment, memories of shame. Those, they may not be conscious, but there's a lot of those subconsciously created in us because we were born into a world that profits from trauma. It's legitimately built into the systems. The entire legal system we have, it could be said that it is written to protect the oppressors. And we have these oppressors in our government and in the shareholders meetings and in the CEO boardrooms. We've got these oppressive mindsets where, I mean, in today's modern world, psychopathy, those people who seek power, they seek the power and they get the powerful positions, where the average people who aren't seeking power, who are just trying to live a life of goodness, well, we're inverted. Here's the point. The oppressive mindset that is, we've got this top-down hierarchy that's been working, where billionaires have power and positions have power. The only reason they have power or the billionaires have any wealth is because the same mindset of those at the top has been taught to everyone else. That mindset of the billionaires is selfishness. The only reason they have billions is because everybody else has been selfishly playing along with the game and the rules that create billionaires. We've got to stop being selfish. We get to individually face that battle, the only battle that is really there. And it is a battle. It's within. It is the battle within our minds, for our heart, for our soul, of what are we going to do? The resistance. I love what you said about the lack of resistance, but the resistance that is beneficial is our own resistance, our resistance to overcome our temptation to be cruel, our temptation to be judgmental, to be harsh, to be punishing, to be selfish. If we resist those temptations within ourselves, man, the world around us starts to improve.
Yes, it sure does. It sure does. The battle within ourselves does not need to be a long fought out battle. That's what our ego wants us to do. That's what our ego says is, oh, Jack, David, Guilherme, wait, You do it tomorrow. You know, don't worry that people are being, their heads are being cut off and these babies are being mutilated. Don't worry about that. That's happening somewhere else in the world. And so we're desensitized through our media. But I want to mention something that you talked about very briefly, Jack, is memory. And see, this is the problem with us as human beings. We think we remember. And when you mention trauma and past experiences, we think we know the reality because we were there, we witnessed it. But our memory is limited only to our perspective, and it's never correct. Our memory is always wrong because it's not in totality. It is not correct. It's not the truth. No matter how horrific you went through an experience, you know, the fact is we all learn from our past. And that's what gives us the human ability to have a brighter future. And the harder our relationship in our lives are, the more that we can adore and savor the love that is coming. And so that it's the contradiction in the polar opposites, like you also mentioned, the inversion. Our society has turned us upside down. And also the coin has heads and tails, but we have been forced to look only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the peace and harmony that we're talking about. So in today's world, it's hard for anyone to accept it. And when I talk about unconditional love, Jack, with other people and living without fear, some people hang up and call, or they like call me a liar and a scam person and every horrible name because they have so many conditions in their life, they have no idea what it is. And it scares, you talk about scared as hell. When I meet somebody, the first time I meet them, I tell them I love you unconditionally. And you know what? People say to me, their response is, David, who in the F are you to tell me that you love me? You have no idea what I experienced, what I went through, and all of the crap that I've dealt with. And I say, thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye. Because it is very difficult to transform somebody that responds to you angrily like that. But that's something that, Jack, you do very well, like I already mentioned. You can reflect that. You can absorb those energies of negativity and of doubt and hopelessness and victimization. You can help instill the witness in us. And that's really what unconditional love means, to be neutral and to just watch and be kind and gentle and have gratitude. You know, life is a blessing, but we can treat it like a curse. And if we treat it like a curse, the fears come out of the closet and the skeletons come out of the closet and it haunts us. And we can never overcome those traumas in our life, but it's all false. Our memory is awful, awful. If you are relying on your memory in this society, good luck. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, brother, I'm glad you brought that up. The memory, the faultiness of our memory. Our mind is just an amazing instrument. It is so, so incredible what our mind can do between the abilities of memory and imagination, processing information, analyzing, using logic and reasoning. Our minds are incredible. However, the school system of today, of yesterday, the school system I went through and many people know of, it didn't teach us how to use our minds. It taught us literally how not to think. The school systems have been designed through the memorization and rote method of memory. Children have been taught to memorize and obey. Those who obey and remember, they don't really have to think. And that's what's created the downfall of a lot of our world, is people are challenged when they actually have to stop and think and trying to come up with the logic to defend all of our conditions, all of our conditions for love and all of our conditions for hate. You got to remember a lot of things for all of that. So what I've noticed happens is what we do when we're taught to live in our mind, in our memory, we will take the memories of things that we've labeled, judged, whatever, and we will make our memories more important than today. How many people go through, right? I've done this many, many days. Had a problem last week, had an argument or something bad happened 2 months ago. And here I am today, just dwelling in my misery. Nothing today is wrong. The wrong is in my memory. It's in my head because that lesson, I chose conditions. I chose conditions that I determined what the world showed me was not good enough, was not pleasing to me. So I chose to be displeased. I chose to be upset. And if we're not careful, we'll carry around those choices day after day of being upset and being hurt and being afraid. And I tell you what, we can do that, but it's not a very fun way to live. And so, what David is doing, what I am doing is there's a lot of us right now, spiritually, through the evolution and the unfolding of time. We are alive right now, alive with opportunities, electronics, communications. We have education. We have access to education that our ancestors didn't quite have before. And so it makes sense that today there would be more spiritually enlightened, spiritually awakened, more conscious people alive. And there's a lot of us. There is a lot of people who are waking up to this world and saying, whoa, 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 what are we doing? It's time for better ways. And this is a part of it. Thank you, David.
Part of it. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Jack. It's my pleasure, actually, to serve you today. And I did take advantage of you the first time, and I told you, please use me. Please rape me. I want you to shine, Jack. I want you to shine. You have a great message. Right now, for everyone listening, we're coming on the hour. We have 15 minutes left, and I don't want to cut it short. And I also invited Jack, and I invite everyone to continue to listen to this podcast live stream, because coming up on the hour, we have Dr. Robert O. Young, who is a physician from California, and he's actually been classified as an extremely dangerous person. Extremely. In fact, California State has took him to court and wants to throw him in jail for the work that he's doing with healing people and bringing people to perfect health, Jack. And so on the top of the hour, as we wind down this next 15 minutes or so, you are welcome, and all of the audience is welcome to stay on live, or you can also come in and out, because for the next 5 hours, for the audience to know that Dr. Robert Young is next. And then after Dr. Robert Young for 1 hour, we are interviewing with Tom Ross from the Transhumanist Party, who's running for the U.S. presidency as a third-party candidate. And we're going to talk about transhumanist philosophies and the things that Tom Ross is proposing. And that has a lot of alignment with what Jack is doing with Live Without Fear, because it is all about living without fear. And then after Tom Ross's conversation, we have a wonderful talk, which is going to be very enlightening, in Africa, in Sierra Leone, Africa, with the Circle of 12, the Blue Angels there, Jack. And so that starts towards the end of this afternoon. It goes from 5 o'clock here in Brazil time until 7 o'clock. So I don't know exactly what that is in Pacific Coast time where you are. But once again, if you want and if you have time, come in and out. But for today's show, let's kind of wrap it up a little bit and wind it down a little bit. And just I just want everyone know that the whole purpose of what we're doing here is to be open and transparent and have freedom of speech. It's a little bit unfortunate that we don't have the ability to have people right now asking questions and have it more of a interaction with the public. But maybe there's a few things that, Jack, you would like to mention before we wrap it up. We have about 10 minutes left. Go ahead.
You know, I appreciate that. What this is, the way I see this is what you offer, David. This is a place for speech, for truth to be shared by those of us who may not be at the top yet. But blessings, I appreciate sincerely everything that's happening. If I may do a little self-promotion, if you look me up, just with my name, Jack Talcott, I'm on YouTube regularly. I do written inspirations on Instagram and Facebook, but the idea I'm hoping for, I am an activist in my heart. In my heart, I am an activist. In my mind, I studied different modalities of self-development, self-improvement. I have the mind of a coach, the heart of an activist. And that's why I think those two come together. My heart tells me this world can be better. And my mind tells me the world is going to be better through you, whoever you are, right? All of us together as we become better and as we shoot for better, creating better, sharing better in this world, the world becomes better for us all. And that's the solution I'm working on, is just to try and simplify life a little bit. Overcoming some of the fears that hold us back, some of the limitations that keep us divided. Each of us, every single one of us, we have such a unique quality, such an essence of specialness, right? There's a special quality and a uniqueness that is found within each and every single one of us. So when I started recognizing that for myself, I found it easier to stay curious. And David, what you're in the Dr. Phil and in some of the past in my stories, anger has been an issue for me. Admittedly, I think a lot of people deal with anger in different levels in their being. Anger was a real thorn for me, and it caused me a lot of damage in my past. But what you've been saying, David, you've been witnessing. The universe is testing me. I know this. The universe is testing me by the negativity, by the attacks and the darkness that have been brought into my path. So if you want an entertainment, you want to see what's going on, tune in and check me out. But I think it's for the future. Hey, beautiful.
All right. Hi, guys. Hold on just a second. Can you hear me okay?
You sound good.
Okay.
David, you're still muted, brother.
Yeah, I can hear you, Matt. Thank you for joining
Awesome.
in. We were just wrapping up an interview right now with Jack Talcott from Live Without Fear, and we're doing back-to-back interviews. So yourself and Dr. Young is coming online now. We're just wrapping up, and Jack is saying a few closing comments. So I'm going to let him. We still have about 10 minutes before Dr. Young will join us. If you don't mind, Matt, just bear with us, and Jack is
No,
wrapping
I've
up.
been on a call with Robert, and I just sent him the link, and so he'll be coming right on. We were talking to Sherry Bill. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you got a few more minutes, Jack. Go ahead.
Hey, blessings. I'm not sure what else to add. Well, here's, for anyone who does listen, what I view and I've imagined as the solution for the world. Please consider it for yourself. A world without secrets. And if a world without secrets is available, if you believe that our governments and our corporations should not have the power of knowledge above us, well, All of these rules in our lands, they were written by someone else, right? Someone wrote those rules. That means someone can change those rules. And I personally think, as an American, the legislators in the setup of America can change those rules. And not only can they change the rules for America to make transparency more of a requirement, but we could use diplomacy and negotiation, the power of communication, the gift of unity, and we can bring peace to the world. I know that we can. And that's why I'm here.